Greetings, everyone. It's always a joy to speak to people who are hungry for wisdom, for growth, and for truth. Today, I want to challenge your thinking to confront something that often goes unnoticed. You see, we've been taught that being nice, always accommodating, always agreeable is the highest form of character. But I want you to understand something today. Being too nice can lead to your downfall. When you are too nice, you often struggle with setting clear boundaries, which can lead to serious problems in your personal and professional life. Without boundaries, you become an open door for others to walk through, taking what they want without considering the impact on you. People may begin to expect more and more from you, knowing you won't push back or say no. As a result, your time, energy, and resources are consistently drained because you feel obligated to help everyone, even when it comes at your own expense. Without boundaries, you're unable to prioritize your needs and desires. Your goals take a back seat because you're constantly putting others ahead of yourself. This can cause resentment to build within you as you feel pulled in multiple directions but unable to claim space for yourself. Over time, this lack of boundaries leads to a loss of control over your own life as you find yourself living according to the demands and expectations of others rather than pursuing your own path. Furthermore, people who lack boundaries often attract those who seek to exploit kindness. They recognize the absence of limits and take advantage of it, pushing you further than you're comfortable with because they know you won't push back. This dynamic creates an unhealthy imbalance in relationships where one person constantly gives while the other takes without regard for the giver's well-being. Establishing boundaries is essential to maintaining self-respect, preserving energy, and protecting your personal purpose. Without them, being nice can quickly spiral into self-sacrifice that leads to frustration, exhaustion, and ultimately a loss of identity. When you're too nice, a natural result is the fear of conflict. This fear arises from a desire to maintain peace at all costs, even if it means suppressing your own thoughts, feelings, or needs. You may find yourself constantly agreeing with others or staying silent when something bothers you because the idea of confronting someone feels uncomfortable or risky. You become afraid that speaking up will upset the delicate balance of a relationship, cause friction, or lead to rejection, so you avoid conflict altogether. But the problem with avoiding conflict is that unresolved issues don't just go away. They linger beneath the surface, growing in intensity over time. What starts as a minor disagreement or dissatisfaction can become a deep-rooted resentment because you've chosen to suppress it rather than address it head-on. The more you avoid conflict, the more you enable unhealthy patterns of behavior in others, allowing them to take advantage of your silence or unwillingness to engage. Living with this fear of conflict often means you compromise your own values and needs just to keep others happy. You'll go along with decisions you don't fully agree with or accept treatment that you know isn't right simply to avoid the discomfort of disagreement. Over time, this chips away at your sense of self-worth and creates an internal conflict where your inner voice is stifled by your external actions. Another consequence of fearing conflict is that it hinders personal growth. Difficult conversations and challenging situations are often where the most growth happens, both in relationships and within ourselves. By shying away from conflict, you miss out on opportunities to strengthen your communication skills, to assert your boundaries, and to develop deeper, more authentic connections with others. The fear of conflict can also diminish your leadership and decision-making abilities. Whether in the workplace or in personal relationships, being unable to confront issues or voice your true opinions makes it hard for others to respect your authority or trust your judgment. It can lead to a reputation of being indecisive or passive, making it harder for you to assert your influence or take charge when necessary. People-pleasing is a behavior that often stems from a deep desire to be liked, accepted, or validated by others. When you are too nice, you tend to put others' needs, wants, and opinions above your own, constantly seeking their approval. This can lead to a habit of agreeing to things you don't truly want to do or bending over backward to make others happy, even when it comes at your own expense. You might find yourself saying yes to every request, task, or favor, fearing that saying no will result in disappointment, rejection, or criticism from those around you. Over time, this constant need to please others can be emotionally draining. You're always anticipating what others expect from you and adjusting your behavior to meet their needs, often at the cost of your own well-being. You may become so focused on making sure everyone else is comfortable and satisfied that you lose touch with what you truly want or need for yourself. This imbalance can lead to feelings of frustration, exhaustion, and even resentment as you continually neglect your own desires in favor of others. People pleasers often avoid expressing their true feelings or opinions, worried that doing so might create tension or conflict. You might withhold your honest thoughts to keep the peace, choosing instead to go along with what others want to avoid rocking the boat. This can lead to a loss of authenticity in your relationships, where you feel that you must wear a mask of constant agreeableness to maintain harmony. However, this constant effort to please everyone can erode your sense of self as you become more concerned with others' approval than with your own values and needs. In the long run, people-pleasing can lead to a lack of personal boundaries. When you are always focused on others, it becomes difficult to establish limits around what is acceptable behavior or how much of yourself you are willing to give. This can open the door to others taking advantage of your kindness, expecting more and more from you because they know you won't refuse. People-pleasing can also prevent you from pursuing your own goals and dreams as you spend so much time and energy accommodating others that you have little left for your own ambitions. When you are overly nice, there is a real risk of being exploited by others, as some individuals will see your kindness as an opportunity to manipulate or take advantage of you. They recognize that you're more likely to say yes, less likely to stand up for yourself, and often hesitant to confront or push back. This creates an opening for those with selfish intentions to use your goodwill for their own benefit. They may start by asking small favors, but as they realize you rarely say no, the demands increase. Your time, resources, and even emotional support are continually drained without reciprocity. Exploitation doesn't always come in obvious forms. Sometimes it's subtle, with people relying on your helpfulness to do things they can manage on their own, knowing you won't resist. They may guilt you into doing things for them, framing it as though you're the only one who can help, or they might flatter you to keep you on their side. Over time, this manipulation becomes habitual, with you giving more and more while receiving little in return. What starts as a genuine offer of help evolves into one-sided relationships where you're constantly giving without receiving the respect or appreciation you deserve. Another layer of exploitation is emotional. Some people may use your niceness to offload their problems onto you, expecting you to be their emotional crutch, but when you need support, they are nowhere to be found. These kinds of exploitative relationships can leave you feeling used and depleted, as your emotional energy is spent taking care of others while your own needs are ignored. This imbalance can also create resentment within you, but because you're too nice to confront them, the cycle continues. Moreover, in professional environments, those who exploit your kindness may offload tasks onto you, knowing you will step in even if it's not your responsibility. This can result in you carrying extra burdens, taking on others' work, or shouldering blame for mistakes that aren't yours. Your desire to be accommodating is used as leverage by others to avoid doing their fair share, making you feel overworked and undervalued. Over time, this exploitation not only affects your workload, but also diminishes your self-esteem, as you realize that people are using your kindness without recognizing your worth. Ultimately, when you fail to recognize and address this pattern of exploitation, it can lead to long-term harm. You may become stuck in unhealthy relationships, overburdened by responsibilities that aren't yours, and emotionally drained from constantly giving to others who do not have your best interests at heart. When you are too nice, you gradually lose your personal power. This happens because you begin to place other people's desires, opinions, and expectations above your own. You feel a constant need to keep others happy, often at the expense of your own well-being, and as a result, you give away control over your own decisions and actions. Each time you say yes when you mean no, or when you go along with something that doesn't align with your values, you chip away at your sense of autonomy. You start to live for others, and in doing so, you lose sight of your own voice, preferences, and goals. This loss of personal power is subtle at first. It begins with small compromises, agreeing to do favors or tasks because you don't want to disappoint someone, or staying silent in moments when you should speak up. Over time, these small actions add up, creating a pattern where you continually put your own needs last. You find yourself caught in a cycle of compliance where your choices are dictated more by what others want than by what you truly desire. In this state, you become passive, letting life happen to you rather than actively shaping it. As you surrender your power to others, you start to feel less confident in making decisions for yourself. The more you accommodate others' wishes, the more you begin to doubt your own instincts and judgment. You might even second guess yourself, constantly wondering whether you should act on your own behalf or continue prioritizing others. This self-doubt erodes your ability to assert yourself in meaningful ways, and your inner strength weakens as a result. Additionally, when you lose personal power, your ability to influence situations and outcomes diminishes. Others start to sense that you will go along with whatever is asked of you, and this can lead to a lack of respect from those around you. People may no longer take your opinion seriously, or they might expect you to always defer to them because you've established a pattern of always giving in. This further reinforces the imbalance of power in your relationships, making it even harder for you to reclaim your position of authority and self-respect. Furthermore, losing your personal power can have long-term effects on your overall happiness and fulfillment. When your life is shaped by others' demands and expectations, you might find that you are no longer living a life that reflects your true desires or purpose. Your goals are set aside and your dreams become distant because you are too focused on meeting the needs of everyone around you. This creates a sense of frustration and emptiness as you realize that you are not in control of your own destiny. The more you give away your power, the more you disconnect from your true self. You stop trusting your ability to make choices that serve your own interests, and you become reliant on others to guide your path. This reliance weakens your sense of independence, making it harder to stand firm in your decisions or defend your boundaries when needed. Over time, you may feel as though your life is no longer your own, as you've given away the power to shape it. Reclaiming personal power is essential for regaining a sense of self-worth and control over your own life. Without it, you continue to drift, allowing others to steer you in directions that may not align with your true purpose or happiness. When you're too nice, constantly giving and accommodating others, it starts to drain your energy, both mentally and physically. You expend a great deal of effort trying to meet everyone's needs, ensuring that others are happy, satisfied, and comfortable, often at the cost of your own well-being. You might find yourself saying yes to requests, invitations, or responsibilities that you don't really want to take on, but you do so to avoid disappointing or upsetting someone else. This constant giving stretches you thin, leaving little time or energy for yourself. Over time, this habit of overextending yourself leads to exhaustion. You're always on the go, trying to please others or meet their expectations, but because you're not prioritizing your own needs, your energy reserves are depleted. Every time you take on someone else's burden or problem, it adds to your emotional and mental load, making it harder for you to recharge and regain balance. It's as though you're pouring all your energy into other people's cups while your own remains empty. Emotionally, this can be particularly draining. When you're too nice, you often take on the emotional weight of others' struggles and challenges. You feel responsible for their happiness. And when they are upset or in need, you rush to provide support, even if you're not in the best place yourself. Over time, this emotional labor can leave you feeling overwhelmed and emotionally fatigued as you're constantly carrying not just your own emotions, but the emotions of those around you as well. This emotional drain can lead to feelings of burnout where you no longer have the capacity to give, yet continue to push yourself to do so. Being too nice can also mean that you suppress your own feelings and emotions to avoid conflict or tension. You may feel frustrated, upset, or stressed, but you keep those feelings to yourself because you don't want to burden others or disrupt the harmony of a relationship. But suppressing these emotions requires a significant amount of mental energy. Instead of addressing what's bothering you, you bury it, creating an internal pressure that quietly drains you over time. The physical toll of being overly nice can also manifest in your body. constantly saying yes to others, running from one commitment to the next, and never giving yourself time to rest or recharge can lead to physical fatigue. You may experience difficulty sleeping, feel constantly tired, or even develop stress-related physical symptoms such as headaches or muscle tension. Your body reflects the energy you're constantly expending without replenishing. In addition, when your energy is constantly drained by giving to others, it becomes difficult to focus on your own goals and aspirations. You may find that you no longer have the motivation or drive to pursue your own dreams because you're too exhausted from managing the needs of those around you. This can create a sense of stagnation in your personal life where you feel stuck, unable to move forward because you have nothing left to give to yourself. The more your energy is drained, the harder it becomes to maintain healthy boundaries, which only exacerbates the problem. When you're exhausted, you're less likely to stand up for yourself or assert your needs, making it easier for others to continue relying on you. It becomes a vicious cycle where the more you give, the more you're expected to give, and the less energy you have for your own life. When you're too nice, constantly focused on helping others, you often end up sacrificing your own purpose. This happens because your attention is diverted from your personal goals, dreams, and ambitions toward meeting the needs and desires of others. You become so wrapped up in ensuring that those around you are happy and taken care of that your own aspirations take a back seat. Instead of pursuing what you're truly passionate about, you spend your energy fulfilling other people's expectations or solving their problems, leaving little room for your own growth and fulfillment. Over time, this self-sacrifice can cause you to lose sight of your true purpose. You might have once had clear goals and a vision for your life, but as you focus more and more on pleasing others, those dreams start to fade into the background. Your days are filled with tasks and responsibilities that don't align with your deeper desires, and you find yourself drifting away from the path you once set for yourself. This can create a feeling of disconnection as you realize that you're living a life that isn't entirely your own. The sacrifice of purpose also happens subtly. It starts with small compromises, putting off your own projects or delaying your ambitions to help someone else. But as these small sacrifices accumulate, you begin to lose momentum. What once felt like a minor detour from your personal journey turns into a permanent sidetrack where you are no longer actively working toward your own dreams. You start to feel stuck, as though your life is moving forward, but not in the direction you had envisioned. When you consistently prioritize others, it becomes harder to reclaim time and space for yourself. People may begin to expect that you will always be available to help. And because you've established a pattern of saying yes, it becomes increasingly difficult to say no. This external pressure makes it even harder to focus on your own purpose as you feel obligated to continue putting others first. Over time, this can lead to a sense of emptiness or frustration as you realize that your life is being shaped by external forces rather than your own intentions. Sacrificing your purpose also affects your sense of fulfillment. When you neglect what you're truly passionate about, life can start to feel monotonous or unfulfilling. You might find yourself going through the motions, doing things that don't excite or inspire you simply because you've become accustomed to putting others' needs ahead of your own. This lack of fulfillment can take a toll on your mental and emotional well-being as you feel disconnected from the things that once brought you joy and meaning. In the long run, sacrificing your purpose can lead to regret. As time passes, you may look back and realize that you've spent years working toward other people's goals rather than your own. The opportunities you missed, the dreams you set aside, and the personal ambitions you never pursued start to weigh on you. This realization can lead to feelings of dissatisfaction as you recognize that you've given up a significant part of yourself in the process of being overly nice. Moreover, when you sacrifice your purpose, you also sacrifice the unique impact you were meant to make in the world. Each person has a distinct set of talents, skills, and passions, and when you neglect your own purpose, you withhold those gifts from the world. The time and energy you could have invested in your own growth and contributions are instead spent on others, leaving you with a sense of unfulfilled potential. Ultimately, the sacrifice of purpose is one of the greatest costs of being too nice. It prevents you from living a life that is truly aligned with who you are and what you're meant to do. By constantly putting others first, you lose the opportunity to pursue your passions and live out your true calling, leaving you disconnected from your own purpose and potential. When you're too nice, you often enable bad behavior in others without even realizing it. This happens because in your efforts to avoid conflict or maintain harmony, you allow people to get away with actions that are disrespectful, inappropriate, or unfair. You may brush off their behavior as unintentional, or you convince yourself that it's better to keep the peace than to address the issue. But by not confronting these behaviors, you essentially give others permission to continue acting in ways that are harmful or exploitative. One common way this plays out is through your reluctance to say no. You might find it difficult to reject someone's request, even if it puts an unfair burden on you. Over time, the person becomes accustomed to you always being available or agreeable, and they begin to push the boundaries further. What starts as a minor favor can turn into a pattern of them taking advantage of your kindness. Because you never push back, they feel emboldened to keep asking for more, often without regard for your well-being. Enabling bad behavior can also manifest in your tendency to overlook disrespect. When someone speaks to you in a condescending or hurtful manner, you might smile and let it go, telling yourself it's not worth making a fuss. But by doing so, you allow that person to believe their behavior is acceptable. Over time, this lack of confrontation signals to them that it's okay to continue treating you poorly, and their behavior escalates. Each time you ignore a hurtful comment or tolerate an inappropriate action, you reinforce the idea that there are no consequences for their mistreatment. This dynamic is particularly harmful in relationships where enabling bad behavior can create a toxic pattern. For example, if a friend, partner, or family member frequently takes advantage of your generosity or kindness and you never address it, they will likely continue to do so. They may expect you to always be the one who makes sacrifices, handles responsibilities, or forgives without holding them accountable. This creates an unhealthy imbalance where your needs and boundaries are constantly overlooked in favor of accommodating the other person. In professional settings, enabling bad behavior can be equally damaging. If a colleague regularly shirks their responsibilities and you step in to cover for them, you're allowing their bad habits to continue. By always being the one to pick up the slack, you not only enable their laziness or irresponsibility, but also increase your own workload unnecessarily. Similarly, if a boss or coworker speaks to you disrespectfully and you never address it, they may feel empowered to continue treating you and possibly others with a lack of respect. Over time, enabling bad behavior erodes your self-respect. Each time you allow someone to cross a boundary or mistreat you, you send a message to yourself and to others that your feelings and needs are less important than maintaining the relationship or avoiding discomfort. This can lead to feelings of resentment, frustration, and low self-esteem as you realize that you've allowed others to take advantage of your kindness without standing up for yourself. Another consequence of enabling bad behavior is that it prevents others from growing or learning from their mistakes. When people are not held accountable for their actions, they miss out on opportunities for self-reflection and change. By always smoothing things over or excusing their behavior, you deprive them of the chance to recognize the impact of their actions and make necessary improvements. In some cases, enabling can even contribute to the continuation of toxic patterns or destructive habits, as the person never experiences the consequences of their behavior. Ultimately, enabling bad behavior not only harms you, but also hinders the personal development of the people around you. When you avoid setting boundaries or addressing issues, you allow others to remain in a cycle of negative behavior while sacrificing your own well-being in the process. It's only by addressing these behaviors head-on with kindness but firmness that you can create healthier, more balanced relationships where respect and accountability are upheld. When you're overly nice, it often leads to a lack of respect from others. This is because people may start to perceive your kindness as a weakness or a sign that you will always prioritize their needs over your own. Over time, this perception causes them to stop valuing your opinions, boundaries, and efforts. When you consistently give in to others, avoid confrontation, or say yes, even when it's inconvenient for you, people might begin to assume that your feelings, time, or needs don't really matter. This erosion of respect can happen gradually, but its effects are profound. In personal relationships, lack of respect manifests when others take you for granted. They might assume that because you're always there to help, they don't need to show gratitude or appreciation. They start to expect that you will always say yes without recognizing the sacrifices you're making. Instead of seeing your kindness as a choice, they begin to treat it as an obligation. As a result, they might make demands on your time, assume you'll handle extra responsibilities, or dismiss your preferences and desires because they believe you'll go along with whatever they want. This lack of respect often shows up in communication as well. Others may interrupt you, talk over you, or ignore your input because they don't take your words seriously. You might notice that your opinions are overlooked or that people make decisions without considering your perspective. In more extreme cases, they may belittle your concerns or dismiss your boundaries altogether, knowing that you're unlikely to challenge them. This disrespect grows as you continue to accommodate their behavior without addressing the imbalance. In professional settings, a lack of respect can lead to unfair treatment. Colleagues or supervisors may pile extra work on you, knowing that you won't refuse. They may assume you'll handle tasks that aren't part of your job, often without acknowledging the effort you're putting in. If you're always the one to take on additional responsibilities, others may stop respecting your time and assume that you don't have any limits. This can lead to burnout as your workload increases while recognition and appreciation decrease. When people sense that you're unwilling to assert yourself, they may also start to test the boundaries of how far they can push you. They might make unreasonable requests or treat you in ways that they wouldn't treat someone who stands up for themselves. Because you're reluctant to say no or push back, they begin to think it's acceptable to take advantage of your kindness. This lack of respect not only affects how they treat you, but also how they view you as a person. They may start to see you as someone who is easy to manipulate or control. Moreover, this dynamic can erode your own self-respect. The more you allow others to disrespect you, the more you begin to internalize the idea that your needs aren't important. You might start to doubt your own worth or feel as though your opinions and desires don't matter. Over time, this can lead to a diminished sense of self-esteem and confidence. When you feel disrespected by others, it can be difficult to assert yourself in future situations, creating a cycle where the lack of respect continues to grow. Additionally, when people don't respect you, they're less likely to honor your boundaries. They may push you into uncomfortable situations, knowing that you won't resist. Whether it's a personal request that invades your time or a professional obligation that stretches your limits, they know that you'll go along with it because you've set a precedent of accommodating their demands. Over time, this can lead to feelings of frustration and resentment as you realize that others are ignoring your boundaries without consequence. Ultimately, a lack of respect diminishes the quality of your relationships. It creates an imbalance where you're constantly giving without receiving the consideration and acknowledgement you deserve. Without mutual respect, it becomes difficult to maintain healthy, equitable relationships, whether in your personal life or at work. Respect is the foundation of any meaningful connection, and without it, you're left feeling undervalued and unheard. When you're too nice, constantly prioritizing others' needs over your own, you inevitably miss out on important opportunities in life. These missed opportunities can take many forms: career advancements, personal growth, relationships, or even experiences that could enrich your life. The reason this happens is that in your effort to accommodate and support others, you often end up neglecting your own ambitions, dreams, and desires. You might turn down offers or fail to pursue new ventures because you're too focused on keeping others happy or avoiding conflict. In a professional context, being overly nice can prevent you from seizing opportunities for growth or advancement. You may be reluctant to put yourself forward for a promotion, fearing that it will seem too assertive or competitive. You might shy away from taking on leadership roles because you're more comfortable supporting others from the background. While others who are more vocal or assertive are advancing in their careers, you're left in the same position, often doing the hard work but not receiving the recognition or rewards. By not advocating for yourself or taking risks, you miss out on chances to elevate your career and reach your full potential. On a personal level, missed opportunities can arise in relationships. You might spend so much time focusing on the happiness and well-being of others that you overlook what you need from a relationship. Perhaps you miss the chance to establish deeper, more meaningful connections because you're always accommodating others rather than expressing your own desires or needs. You might also hold back from ending unhealthy relationships or pursuing new ones because you're afraid of upsetting someone or stepping out of your comfort zone. In this way, being overly nice can keep you trapped in unfulfilling situations, missing the opportunity to find true happiness and fulfillment in your personal relationships. Additionally, there are countless everyday opportunities that pass you by when you're too focused on pleasing others. You might avoid trying new experiences, exploring new hobbies, or embarking on adventures because you're afraid of how others might react, or because you're tied down by obligations to people who rely on your kindness. Over time, these missed opportunities add up, leaving you with a sense of regret and a feeling that life is passing you by while you're busy attending to everyone else's needs. Missed opportunities can also occur because you're too busy solving other people's problems. When you're constantly involved in others' lives, helping them through their issues, supporting their goals, or cleaning up their messes, you have less time and energy to focus on your own path. You may miss out on key moments to grow, explore new directions, or pursue your dreams because you're always caught up in someone else's world. As a result, your own progress stalls, and you find yourself watching as others move forward while you remain in the same place. Moreover, being too nice can cause you to miss opportunities for personal growth. When you're overly accommodating, you avoid situations that might challenge you, such as difficult conversations or stepping out of your comfort zone. These challenges are often the very moments that lead to growth, teaching you how to assert yourself, overcome fears, or stand up for what you believe in. By avoiding these situations to keep the peace or to be liked, you deny yourself the chance to develop resilience, confidence, and self-awareness, qualities that are essential for achieving success and fulfillment in life. In some cases, being too nice can lead to others taking the opportunities meant for you. Because you're hesitant to push for what you want, someone else who is more assertive may step in and take the chance that should have been yours. Whether it's a job offer, a leadership position, or even recognition for work you've done, you might find that others are getting ahead while you're left behind simply because you were too nice to claim what you rightfully deserved. Over time, the accumulation of missed opportunities can lead to regret. You may look back and realize that many of the things you wanted to achieve or experience in life slipped through your fingers because you were too focused on everyone else. The opportunities to grow, succeed, and find fulfillment that you passed up may weigh heavily on you as you realize how much you've sacrificed in the name of being nice. Ultimately, being overly nice can limit your ability to fully engage with life. The more you focus on others at the expense of yourself, the more opportunities you miss to pursue your own dreams and live life on your terms. These missed chances are often subtle at first, but can accumulate over time, leaving you with a sense of what might have been if only you had put yourself first. It's important to remember that while kindness is a valuable trait, it should not come at the cost of your own opportunities and growth. Life presents countless chances to pursue your passions, develop meaningful relationships, and achieve success. By being too nice, constantly prioritizing others, you risk missing out on these moments that can define your journey. Finding a balance between being kind and standing up for yourself ensures that you can both help others and seize the opportunities that are meant for you, allowing you to live a more fulfilled and purposeful life.